Welcome to Mrs. Neller's notes for her double block algebra class. These are the notes for section 5.5 entitled Modeling with Linear Equations. Now remember, when we see the word modeling, that basically means that we're going to be dealing with word problems. So we're going to write the standard form equation of a line and the slope-intercept form equation of a line that deal with real-world situations. So we're going to focus on both of those forms and how they apply to two different types of word problems. Then we're going to rewrite the standard form in slope-intercept form, which we've done. We might use that equation then to complete a table, and we're definitely going to solve a real-world problem. So we might use that equation, that slope-intercept form, to find an actual value. So a linear model is basically an equation that's written and used to describe a real-life situation. Now, the situations we're going to see today are going to have two changing quantities that are being compared. So we might have things like hot dogs and hot dog buns, or we might have how many shoes you sell and how much profits you make. Okay, so we're going to have two different quantities. So in example one here, as we're reading through this, we need to think if this situation is something that we can describe in standard form or slope-intercept form or point-slope form. So just keep those forms in your mind as we read through this. So from 1986 to 1999, a toy company had an increase in the sales of one of its stuffed animals by 900 per year. So for each of those years, they made 900 more animals. So 900 per year. That's going to be important. That's telling us something. We'll come back to it in a moment. In 1996, the company sold 17,000 of its stuffed animals. Now that's important too, the 1996 and the 17,000. Okay. Now part A says they want us to write a linear model. So we're going to write the model for the number of stuffed animals sold. And they're also telling us that t equals 0 is going to represent the year 1986. So that's when everything started. Okay? Now, even if this part seems a little wordy here, what they basically want us to do is figure out if this is a slope-intercept or a point-slope form, or if it's a standard form. Okay? Now, if it's standard form, you're definitely going to have two pieces of information. If it's point-slope form, you're going to have information about a slope and a point. And the slope is going to be something that's going to be the same over and over and over, just like this 900 per year. So when I told you that that was important, that is important because that's our slope. Every single year from 1986 to 1999, they had 900 more per year, year after year after year. Okay. Now, in 1996, they sold 17,000. Now that information is also important because now that we have our slope, this information is going to become our point. Now we have to be careful about how we write our ordered pair though for our point. Sometimes you can use 1996 and then the 17,000. Okay. But in part A, they said let t equals 0 represent the year 1986. So that's telling you how much time that's telling you how they want you to count the amount of time that's gone by. So we don't want to do 1996 as our ordered pair, as part of our ordered pair for our x value, because that's going to look like it's been 1,996 years that this factory's been open. And while that might be possible, it's probably not going to be. Okay? So instead of using the 1996, we're going to use how much time has gone by since 1996. Now, the company started in 1986. So from 1986 to 1996, that's going to be 10 years. So that's our point and our slope. Okay, so we'll be able to write a linear model or write a linear equation using point slope form. So y minus 17,000 equals 900 times x minus 10. Now they want us to use t instead of x, so we can adjust that now. They want us to use the t for time. And if you forgot to do that, if you didn't use the variable that they told you, it would be okay. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But we're going to use y because they told us to use y here. Write a linear equation using y. Okay? So now, for part B, we have to predict the number of animals that were sold in the year 2004. So that's going to be easier to do if I rewrite this equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute my 900. So I'll have 900t minus 9,000. And then I'm going to add the 17,000 over. So that'll get me y equals 900t plus 8,000. So there's the equation that that company would use to represent how many stuffed animals they sold every year from 1996 on. So if we put 0 in here for the year that they started, for 1986, 0 times 900 would be 0, and then we'd add the 8,000. So in 1996, they sold 8,000 of these stuffed animals. Okay? So that's what we're going to kind of use for part B here. Part B says predict the number of stuffed animals that were sold in the year 2004. So remember, the t equals 0, that's the time that this started, so that was 1986. So we have to figure out how much time's gone by from 2004 to 1986. And that's been 18 years. Okay? So that's what I'm going to substitute in for t. That's how much time has gone by. So I'm going to use my equation from part A. So I'll have 900 times 18 plus 8,000. Okay? And then all I have to do is multiply the 900 by the 18, add the 8,000, and I should get 24,200 animals. And if we wanted to write that as a complete sentence, we could say, in 2004, the company sold 24,200 stuffed animals. So anytime you see a situation where you're reading through a word problem and it has something that says per year or per day or per hour, like if you're getting paid $15 per hour, okay, you want to think of that as kind of a little clue in your mind that that means slope. So you're going to be working with point slope form. So the other information then, if that per year information, if that's your slope, then the other information is going to represent your point. And then you can use point slope form and resolve it so that it's in slope intercept form. Okay, so that's one model that these problems can follow. In example 2, we're going to see the other model where they follow more of a standard form. And sometimes I think these are easier. Okay, so here you're in charge of buying fruit cups and yogurt for the school picnic. A box of fruit cups costs $4 and a box of yogurt costs $3. You have $48 to spend. Now, what you want to pay attention to is when you're reading these types of problems, you definitely have two separate items. You have fruit cups and you have yogurt. Now, in the other problem, we were just talking about one thing, stuffed animals. Okay? So here you have two things. So that means you're going to have standard form because you're going to have AX plus BY equals C. So you're going to have like fruit cups plus your yogurt equals the total amount you have to spend. Okay? So when we write our equation, we're going to be following that format, the AX plus BY equals C. Now, your two things that you're comparing are your X and your Y. And then remember the A and the B and the C, those are all going to be numbers. So you have fruit cups and yogurt. So if you want to call X F for fruit cups, and if you want to call the Y yogurt for, or leave the Y a Y for yogurt, that's fine. Now your fruit cups were $4 each, so that the 4 is going to go in for the A. And the yogurt was $3 each, so the 3 is going to go in for the B. And you have $48 to spend, so that's going to go in for the C. Okay? And we've seen these types of problems before earlier in chapter 1, so we're kind of revisiting these again. And then in part B, now that we have our equation, they're going to have us use it. So it says use the model to complete the table that illustrates several different combinations of boxes of fruit cups and yogurt containers that you can buy. Okay, so if you want to call, again, the fruit cups, if you didn't want to call them X, if you were calling them F, and the yogurt we were calling Y. Okay, and they've already told you how many different types of fruit cups you're buying. Apparently you're buying them in groups of 3. Maybe it's like a sale or something like that. Buy 3 and you get a discount or something like that. So you're buying 0, then you're buying 3, then 6, then 9, then 12. Okay, so if we bought 0 fruit cups, how many yogurt cups would we be buying? That's basically what they want us to find out. So I'm going to use my equation. If I have 0 fruit cups, then how many yogurt cups am I going to be able to buy? Well, 4 times 0 is just 0, so that's 3y equals 48. And then if I divide 48 by 3, I'll get 16. Now, just because the fruit cups were going up by 3s does not mean that the yogurt is necessarily going to follow that same pattern. Okay? So now if I'm buying 3 fruit cups, I'm going to have to do this little calculation again so that I can figure out how many yogurt cups I'm buying. And I'm just substituting into that equation that we wrote. So 4 times 3 now, that's 12. And then I can solve for y. So if I subtract the 12 over, I'll have 3y is 36. And 36 divided by 3, that's 12. So I didn't go up by 3, I went down by 4. Okay. Now let's do one more and then let's see if there's a pattern. Maybe we can use that pattern to complete the rest of our table. Now here I'm buying 6 fruit cups. So 4 times 6 plus 3y equals 48. 4 times 6 is 24. And then we're going to subtract the 24 over. So that gets me 24. And then when I divide, I have 8. All right, so we're definitely going down 4 and then down 4 again. So 8 minus 4 would be 4, and 4 minus 4 would be 0. So here are just some possible combinations then of the different amounts of fruit cups and yogurt cups that you could buy. These are by no means the only combinations because we're skipping some values in here. We're skipping 1 and 2, and 4 and 5, and 8 and 7. Okay, so we could fill in this table and make it way more thorough if we wanted to, but these are just the combinations that they had listed, so this is all the work that we need to do. But again, what this means is if you bought 0 fruit cups, you could buy 16 boxes of yogurt and still not go over budget. Or if you just got some fruit cups, if you got 3 boxes of them, you could still get 12 boxes of yogurt. Okay. If you did 6 and 8, that's a little more even. Okay. Or if you want a lot of fruit, you could buy 9 boxes of the fruit and get 4 boxes of the yogurt. Or if you just want to do all fruit and no yogurt, then you'd have to buy 12 boxes of fruit. Okay. So these are the two formats for the types of problems that you're going to be seeing in your homework. There are some problems that we're skipping. So when it says 6 through 32, don't do 15, 22, 24, or 30 in that section. Okay? And definitely as you're going through this, ask yourself, are these a standard form type problem or are they a point and a slope type problem? That'll help you a lot if you keep your notes out and have those two formats to look at as a guide. And if you have any questions, come on in and see me before school.